Good day, everyone. I am Dr. Marq Mutia, and I will be discussing how cannabis medicines can be helpful in combating the aging process. First, we will be discussing a brief overview of the endocannabinoid system, and then a little bit about the cannabis plants and its active ingredients, and then we will be discussing mechanisms by which it can be helpful in the aging process. For disclosure, I am the founder and president of the Philippine Society of Cannabinoid Medicine. I have no conflicts of interest to declare. So, what's the endocannabinoid system? The endocannabinoid system is not really a brand new organ system in the body. It's a 600 million year old signaling system. It's found basically everywhere in the body, and all animals have been found to have endocannabinoid system. No, it is comprised of the ligands, the endocannabinoids. The first one to be isolated is anandamide. It's been named after the Sanskrit word for bliss, which is ananda. That's why it's nicknamed the bliss molecule. And also there's 2-AG. These two are the most studied endocannabinoids, but there are others coming along. Next part of the endocannabinoid system are the receptors where these chemicals attach. No, the classical cannabinoid receptors are the CB1 and CB2 receptors, but there are also other purported receptors. No. Next is the enzymes and transporters, the enzymes that synthesize and degrade the endocannabinoids. Collectively they are known as the endocannabinoid system, but recent research indicates that this can be expanded. They are not exclusively acting on these receptors. That's why we now have what is called the endocannabinoidome, which is the expanded endocannabinoid system, but due to time constraints, we can't discuss it now. So the cannabinoid receptors are G-protein coupled receptors. They are found everywhere in the body. First, the cannabinoid receptor type 1, this is primarily found in the central nervous system. This is the one responsible for the intoxicating effects of cannabis, and even the runner's high, no, the euphoria after exercise is thought to be brought upon by the cannabinoid receptor type 1 in the central nervous system. It's one of the most abundant receptors in the central nervous system. It's more abundant than dopamine and opioid receptors, but it's not just in the brain. Basically, everywhere in the body, there are CB1 receptors. And next is the CB2 receptor. It's primarily found in the immune cells, no? The cells of the immune system. Activating or turning on of the CB1 receptor by agonists result in the modulation of neurotransmitter release. No, first of all, the CB1 receptors are primarily found in inhibitory neurons in the central nervous system, but they can also be found in the excitatory neurons, and they function to control the neurotransmitter flow in these in the synapses. Whereas cannabinoid type 2 receptor, when activated, it modulates or decreases the release of inflammatory chemicals called cytokines. No, so they activation of the CB2 receptors results in less inflammation and less activation of immune cells. Now, the endocannabinoid system has a variety of functions in the human and mammalian physiology. Just to name a few, of course, our mood, appetite, sleep, pain tolerance. That's because of the endocannabinoid system. But we cannot go through all of them one by one. To summarize the function of the endocannabinoid system in our body, it's our universal regulator. So it plays a very important role in the human body for our survival. This is due to its ability to play a critical role in maintaining the homeostasis of the human body. Homeostasis, of course, is the organism's ability to regulate physiological processes. That's why they can also be called stress management professionals, because of course we go through mental and physical stress. So the endocannabinoids and endocannabinoid system is part of our innate mechanisms to recover or to tone down these various stressors. The endocannabinoid system is not just important in health, it's also important in the disease process, because alterations in the endogenous cannabinoid system have been described in almost every category of disease. This is how big a role the endocannabinoid system has in our daily lives, no? This is because this is why modulating the activity of the endocannabinoid system holds therapeutic promise for a broad range of diseases. So that's why a lot of people knock down cannabis by calling it a panacea or a cure-all, which is true and false at the same time. True because ever since the advent of medicine, humanity has been using the cannabis plant for a variety of diseases. But then, of course, not every disease can be helped, no? It's not to say that all illnesses should be supplemented with cannabinoids, no? But this is just to explain that it has a very big role in health and disease. So that's the endocannabinoid system. With or without cannabis, it's active, no, all the time. But then here comes the endocannabinoid system is 600 million years old. Here comes the cannabis plant. 27 million years ago, it evolved near the Tibetan plateau. And now it provides us with a variety of tools, no, to use for our health. The cannabis plant contains 500 plus different active ingredients. Around 140 of these are cannabinoids. The most prominent cannabinoid, of course, is THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, the intoxicating compound, the one being tested in the drug test, and cannabidiol, the most abundant non-intoxicating cannabinoid. Of course, the other compounds in cannabis have been found to be to have medical benefits as well, but it's beyond the scope of this presentation. So the active ingredients are concentrated in the trichomes of the female flower, no? the majority, specifically in the trichome heads. This is where the cannabinoids and the terpenes are formed, no? Interestingly, the psychoactive ingredient of cannabis, THC. THC actually is very rarely found in nature. The cannabis plant produces the acid forms of these cannabinoids, and it's only with pyrolysis or heating or cooking that transforms the acid forms of cannabinoids and activates them. Specifically, THC turns into THCA turns into THC after heating or irradiation. Now, when these plant cannabinoids or phytocannabinoids enter the body, again, they are similar in action to the endocannabinoids that our body produces. No, 2-AG is a full agonist at CB1, CB2. Anandamide is a partial agonist, CB1, CB2. THC is also a partial agonist at CB1, CB2. Interestingly, CBD does not directly act on the cannabinoid receptors. No, rather, CBD is a negative allosteric modulator of CB1. It means it prevents the full binding of other chemicals to the CB1 receptor. And CBG, cannabigerol, is also a CB1 and CB2 agonist. And remember, CB2 is the one found in immune cells and theoretically turns down inflammation. No, it will be important later. Again, the action of cannabinoids is not exclusive to the classical cannabinoid receptors. They also act on various ionotropic receptors, both in the surface and inside the cell. Interestingly, CBD is an agonist of the serotonin receptor. This is thought to be the reason why CBD is an anxiolytic, because it acts on the serotonin system. And also nuclear receptors, no, the PPAR gamma receptors. So we now go to the aging process and how cannabinoids can help. First, the proposed mechanisms of aging. There are two proposed mechanisms. First is the telomere shortening theory. Telomeres are the like the covers or the caps at the end of our chromosomes. No, they function to protect our chromosomes from damage. Now, over time, out of many cycles of cell division, the telomeres shorten, no? So, and eventually they degrade. Once they are degraded, this can cause DNA damage, no? And genetic instability. This renders the cell unable to divide. And it makes the cell enters into what is called the senescence-associated secretory phenotype, no? It goes into this mode of secreting inflammatory chemicals, no? And so senescent cells or old cells cause inflammation, and inflammation that is associated with aging, that's what's called inflammaging, no? The inflammation from aging. So once the telomere shorten, the cells enter the senescence phenotype, they become secretors of inflammatory chemicals, no? Another theory of aging is the oxidative stress theory, no? As users of oxygen, we have to deal with the byproducts of oxygen, namely reactive oxygen species or free radicals. No, now free radicals are naturally formed, and we have natural mechanisms to get rid of these endogenous free radicals and or reactive oxygen species. But there are also exogenous sources, of course, of free radicals: pollution, tobacco, alcohol, heavy metals. They add to the insults, no, to the they put pressure on the oxidative defense of our bodies, and an imbalance of which causes oxidative stress. This causes cellular damage, and oxidative stress and inflammation go hand in hand. No, free radicals cause inflammation. Inflammation also causes the release of free radicals. No, that is why it's a vicious cycle. So if we are to address the process of aging and its complications, it would be logical to have a tool that will address inflammation and oxidative stress. Just to expound, no, this is just to show again the inflammation associated with aging or inflammaging. Again, it's a bidirectional relationship between aging and inflammation. It turns on the SASP or senescence associated secretory phenotype, no, and basically just it's just a cascade of inflammation. So in order to halt the process, we have to intervene somewhere along the way, no? Luckily, cannabinoids have been found to possess anti-inflammatory properties, no? Again, as mentioned, the endocannabinoid system has a role in turning down or controlling the inflammatory processes. But this graphic is a summary of the anti-inflammatory processes, no, potential of cannabinoids. Red is CBD, green is CBG, cannabigerol, and brown is THC. As you can see, CBD has been found to decrease the pro-inflammatory chemicals. No, this means it's anti-inflammatory, decreases the chemicals that cause inflammation. It also somewhat decreases the anti-inflammatory chemicals. No, surprisingly, THC, even though it's an agonist of the CB2 receptor and decreases inflammation, it's been surprisingly it's been found to increase, no, the pro-inflammatory chemicals. No, this might be due to the CB1. CB1 receptor might be pro-inflammatory. No, and CBG, of course, it acts primarily on the CB2, not on the CB1 receptor. That's probably why it's anti-inflammatory. And also the combination of CBD and THC has been found to be anti-inflammatory in experimental studies. Next, cannabinoids are also useful in combating oxidative stress, no? Because endo, phyto, and synthetic cannabinoids have been found to have direct and indirect antioxidant properties. Direct because it is able to neutralize directly free radicals when they come in contact. Direct reactive oxygen species scavenging, no? So that's the direct mechanism. Indirectly because it turns on again the antioxidant defense of the cells, no? So both directly and indirectly, it can help turn down the oxidative stress of the cells. No? Surprisingly, this is not unique to mammalian systems. The antioxidant properties have also been observed in bees. No? Hemp extract, thanks to its antioxidant properties, increase the activities of key antioxidant enzymes that protect the bee's organisms against free radicals and delay the aging process. No? So it actually increases in this study, it increased the lifespan of the bees. No? So not just for humans, at the bees as well. So it's really relevant for this conference. So in summary, cannabinoids with their antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties can potentially combat aging and its complications. No, it's logical to assume that uh, we should be benefiting from this before the onset of the complications of aging. With that said, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me. It is a great honor for me to be part of this conference. And thank you very much to all the listeners as well.